It's the 103rd running of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Two teams that have faced each other frequently. The Chicago Fire hosting the Columbus Crew. It's great to be next to Paul Tenorio. I'm Dan Kelly. We flash back mid-June. The Fire go down early to Indy 11. Justin Braun in extra time.
Great goal there by Braun. You see just a quick turn and shot, but the Fire able to respond right away.
And it was David Accam here just doing what David Accam does so well.
Yeah, for all the struggles that had been going on offensively that game, you want a player like David Accam to decide to take things over and do it himself, and you can see there with the cutback, able to get two defenders down and score.
And then in the penalties, and again, the Fire trailed in the penalties, a resilient performance all night.
Absolutely, and again, the guy you want taking that decisive penalty kick, David Accam, a little trickery with the quick stop, but he puts it away and gives the Fire the win, and they are able to move on here to tonight's game against Columbus.
And also advancing is another look at David Accam's finish here. And John Bush, not good memories, including 2009 against RSL, and another loss for Bush. And it's Columbus that advanced against the Tampa Bay Rowdies in a more convincing victory for the Crew, playing at home.
Yeah, what you want to see if you're Columbus, a lineup, a lot of changes, a lot of injuries force them to play guys in different spots, and they get a couple quick goals here.
Miram opened up the scoring, then Martinez would add to it.
No-brainer penalty kick right there. Tampa Bay taking him down in the box, and Ethan Finley stepping up to bury the PK. No drama around this penalty kick in Columbus.
And not as strong a starting 11 that Greg Berhalter utilizes, Veljko Paunovic, so it will be interesting to see what he does on the road, and it ends up being that 4-0 victory for Columbus over Tampa. So now these two teams fight for the right to move on to the quarterfinals to face the winner of Orlando and Fort Lauderdale.
Thomas, the option of King David has leveled it. Are you
So ready for the festivities, the round of 16. It's down to the Columbus Crew. And the hosts this evening here in Bridgeview, Illinois, from Toyota Park, the Chicago Fire. Next to Paul Tenorio, I'm Dan Kelly. And Paul, we have seen some weather misery in the past in this tournament, especially in the land of Lincoln, but these are perfect conditions for a little U.S. Open Cup play. As we see how we got here, it was the Fire's work a little longer against Indy 11 than it took Columbus over the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah, obviously going to penalty kicks against Indy 11, not the ideal, but more importantly, you get the win in advance. And I think Columbus had a strong performance against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and were able to kind of have a more calm way into this round.
Well, we check out Veljko Panovic's starting 11, and this is a big advantage. Remember, Chicago has not played since their road contest last Wednesday against Philadelphia. Meanwhile, Columbus, they played Saturday and had to travel today, so hopefully this rested starting 11 can take advantage.
Yeah, and you can see here, obviously, Pano going with a 4-4-2 lineup, and a lot of experience, at least this season, on the field. Today, Johan Kopilov has had a great season at center back. He'll be manning that back four along with Rodrigo Ramos, Jonathan Campbell, Brandon Vincent. And then a lot of experience in the midfield with LaBrocca and Cochise especially.
And Paul, the big question is, we see the starting 11 for Greg Berhalter's team, but how are they going to play?
It's very interesting. You do not see Columbus vary up from their 4-2-3-1 often, and here they come out tonight, and it looks like possibly a 3-4-2-1, but we will see if it really switches back into that more comfortable 4-2-3-1.
So almost ready for opening kick down to the round of 16. These two teams battling for the chance to make it to the quarters, where they'll face the winner of Orlando versus Fort Lauderdale. That match will occur tomorrow night. So a lot of eyes perhaps on these two this evening. And considering the way the Fire got down against Indy 11 back in mid-June, you think the start and the foot on the gas will be right from the start here from the Fire playing at home.
Absolutely, and when you saw Columbus play this weekend against New York Red Bulls, one of the things we saw was the Red Bulls coming out, pressing high right away against Columbus, against that back line. I think you'll see a similar approach tonight from the Fire. Try to push high against this team. They like to build out of the back. Put them under pressure right away with Igbo Anike and David Accam, and try to win possession and force mistakes. And as you can see here with the way this team is lined up right now, it's looking more like that 3-4-2-1 that was on the team sheet. Very interesting approach from Greg Berhalter, because we don't often see him go away, like I said earlier, from that 4-2-3-1. But right here, as we're taking a look, it's very clear it will be a three-man back line to start.
The Kentucky Bluegrass pitch looks fabulous. Joel White in charge of the field. The weather conditions, everything is ready to go here. Round of 16 in the Chicago Fire begin with the possession. Fire coming off of a 4-3 loss in league play against Philadelphia. It was a 1-1 draw against the New York Red Bulls for Columbus in an Eastern Conference final rematch. Is theirs. Kennedy Igboananike looking for any mistakes.
That's the kind of mistakes we've seen from Columbus's backline this season. A lot of teams liking to press them high, as we said, because they're prone to those types of mistakes. And with the speed of Igbo and Accam up top, you can see some opportunities created there early if they're able to capitalize on one of those mistakes.
It's Brad Stuver between the sticks for the Crew. He had 4 saves in that victory over the Tampa Bay Rowdies. He'll get the nod on any other future Open Cup dates. Matt Lampson back guarding the Fire's goal, much like he did against Indy 11. Saravia in the midfield. Justin Miram, the little pivot. But it's recaptured and recovered there by Kappelhoff. Nima Sagafi, the man in the middle. Given away there by Ramos. There's Chani, a big presence there in the midfield. As Columbus, the first time around goal.
just an unfortunate bounce there. Ball skips up off the surface into Rodrigo Ramos' knee and out for a corner kick.
First corner of this game goes to the visitors. These two teams met back on March 19th at Toyota Park, a 0-0 draw. That was the first of a half dozen games that David Accam missed with injury. Whipped in a lot of bodies around. Falls kindly there to David Accam. He draws a lot of attention. Speared ahead Jimenez from long range, bounding shot unleashed by Miram, and getting a feel for the ball, it's Matt Lamson.
Already you can see the strategy behind this 3-4-2-1 lineup for Columbus against Chicago's 4-4-2, trying to create numbers up in the midfield. Same idea of the 4-2-3-1, but a little bit more attacking minded, you have to say, with just three in the back. But that's where Columbus is going to look to win this game in the middle of the park. They should have numbers, and it's going to cause a lot of communication needed out of Chicago's back line to make sure they have people picking up the two players underneath the striker, underneath Ola Kamara, because there will be a numbers advantage there for Columbus.
This is Brandon Vincent trying to shake loose. Good persistence by Vincent. He and Mikey Stevens back and forth. And never a chance there with the cross. And speaking of the midfield, that's where Veljko Paunovic felt that his team faltered on the road, conceding a combined 7 goals over their last 2 games. That area needs to be protected better. First corner by the Fire. Here 4 minutes in as David Accam readies. Plays it short to Stevens. Accam, the little turn, but it doesn't buy him any time or room. Trying to jab it loose, he does so. But it's Chani. Calmly brings it down, but gives it away. LaBraca. Pushed away by Parkhurst. As Ramos loses it, the pressure coming from Miram. And it's Kamara, the man who leads the crew with 5 goals this year, including his last work in the 93rd minute, the equalizer against New York. Martinez and the crew will have their second corner.
Well done there by Jonathan Campbell, the center back in transition, to get outside and to be able to track the run and make the block out for a corner.
It's going to be interesting to see how the rookie, he's had a few rookie moments recently and some bad breaks, to see how he recovers. Jimenez, Campbell, there he is, first to it. Saravia never really close.
Yeah, as you said, a couple bad deflections for Jonathan Campbell the last few games that resulted in some own goals and another goal that just benefited from his deflection. And mentally, you've got to move on from that if you're Jonathan Campbell. Really strong start to the season, and he's got to build on that and not worry about a little bit of bad luck.
And that has been a strength of the Fire, even when they were not finding wins, is the defending has been pretty sound. Except the most recent road trip where Colorado and Philadelphia were able to pile up the goals. This is Campbell with Kamara there lurking, recovered by Columbus. It's Martinez. Justin Miram. The intervention there from Kochish. Saravia and Columbus trying to get a little closer. It's Miram on the ball, watched by Brandon Vincent. As Kamara was rising up for it, but it's pushed ahead by Ramos. Igwananike is ahead. Here's John Goossens, first time on the ball this evening. A little out of control, but gets his bearings. Brushes over to David Accam. Accam from distance! David Accam, and that's the start the men in red were looking for. Took them 90 seconds into the Philadelphia match. This one a little longer for the King.
Well, we talked before the game with Veljko Paunovic. He talked about winning in transition. John Goossens, great individual play up the middle, finds David Accam one-on-one on the outside. He gets it into that right foot and curls it to the far post. Fantastic job by John Goossens to build that transition by himself, and then that's just a class finish from David Accam. We know he's capable of that. Picks out that far post.
And that's the first work from not just David Accam from distance this year, but the entire Fire team. All 14 goals scored in league play from inside the box, but this one a little further away from Accam.
Absolutely, and you can see it building up as it came, as Goossens carried the ball. Accam wanted it early and earlier, and he was able to get it and punish Columbus. And right away, energy there from Goossens. You can see he's still excited, gets the win and gets the goal and tries it there from 35 yards out.
Yeah, and it was Goossens, his first touch of the ball, first run of the game, a little out of control, but got his bearings and found David Accam down the left side, and it ends up with the Chicago Fire opening up the scoring. So Francis and Columbus down on the road. Back and forth here, Miram and Francis. As Miram will launch a one-hopper in there to Matt Lamson, who was ready for it. It's Miram tied with Ethan Finley with the assist lead for the Crew with 5 apiece. It was Matt Lamson who picked up his first clean sheet in a Fire shirt back in March against his old side, the Columbus Crew. Had 2 saves. And made those 2 stops also in penalties against Indy 11.
David Accam applauding that look early. Again, with this 3-man backline, you're seeing David Accam floating left, trying to find that space where the fullback usually would be. He's going to be isolated a lot, and Chicago is already starting to pick up its head early and look for that long ball to find David Accam isolated in the final third.
The push forward from Brandon Vincent. Veljko Paunovic, he wants one of either Accam or Bonanike to bring that press to the center backs from Columbus. Is here just escaping a Saravia, but it's reclaimed by Accam. David Accam, the ambitious try, and why not with the hot foot recently.
That was the pressure you were talking about right there. You press the center backs, force them into a mistake, and now you're quick in transition with the speed of David Accam. Looks up, sees the goalkeeper off of his line, tries a little bit of chip, just a little bit too much on it. But great work from Igbo there to set that up for Accam.
That's Paul Tenorio. I'm Dan Kelly. It's so good to have you along here on Chicago-Fire.com. This is the 103rd edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Both teams fighting for the right to make it to the quarterfinals. A lot of space here for Miram. As Francis gets it through and by Kochish. As Saravia and Chani will help it down the right side, returning to Chani. Miram here on Ramos and Labraca. Well, Goossens hasn't had a lot of minutes lately, but he made those minutes felt on the recent road trip. Helped bring the Fire to within 1 to Philadelphia, and here a promising possession that leads to an Accam goal.
The Fire coming out in a 4-4-2, but you see defensively right now kind of a 4-3-2-1 shape from Chicago. They're trying to drop into that central midfield spot in front of the box where they've had trouble the last 2 games and get that shape. So Labraca pinching in a lot to try to make sure that that Miram and Martinez don't have any room to work on the top of the box.
It's Accam on the steal. As they try to play the long ball to Igboananike. Moving on to the 12th minute, it's Accam and the Fire on top with the early goal. He started all 14 in MLS this year. Johan Kappelhoff didn't get the start in the last Open Cup action against Indy 11, but came off the bench. As Chani, it's LaBrocca there, right over his shoulder. And Stevens the foul. The quick restart from the Crew, but the anticipation from Brandon Vincent, or rather Johan Kappelhoff, out of the back. Recovered by Miram. Igboananike bothering Chani there, but regathered by the Columbus Crew once again. As Barson will push it forward. And an aggressive Brandon Vincent is whistled. Looking to sneak in. Miram couldn't make the turn as the recovery there by the Romanian Razvan Kocic.
Nice quick restart from Columbus there. Surprised that Ola Kamara didn't shoot the ball there. He had a good look at goal and opted to try to cut it back for his teammate instead. I'm sure Greg Berhalter would rather he fire away from 18 yards out.
Yeah, a little unselfish. It's Razvan Kocic, found goal against Philadelphia. But it's Columbus on the counter. The former Michigan man, Justin Miram. Giving Wall some time and room to go forward. France is in off the boot of Kappelhoff. Second ball takes a few deflections. The last one off of Kamara, and maybe that's a sign of things to come, that the deflections are going to go the Fire's way this evening.
You're seeing some quick switches here from Columbus, but the organization is good by Chicago. They have numbers in the box, and they were able to respond here. And you're right, a bit of luck as it comes off of Kamara right to Lamson for an easy collection.
It's LaBrocca and Stevens teaming up to take possession. Good patience by Goossens. Igboananike, Accam is in the area. A little slippage by Igboananike. Back for Brandon Vincent, the little turn, and now lets it rip, but well off frame. But a good build up again.
Again, you don't mind this if you're Chicago. Right now, Columbus is willing to go 1v1 against David Accam and Igboananike and John Goossens, and it's creating chances for those two strikers. I imagine you'll have to see some kind of adjustment at halftime, because right now, way too much space for the Fire's two forwards up top.
We've seen Goossens use that recipe the right way so far. He picks his head up, and Igboananike and Accam, always good options. It's the threat coming down that left side, but it's Columbus here. Tony Chani drifted over to Waylon Francis's way. This is the fourth straight season Columbus has made it to the round of 16, but they haven't made it to the quarter since 2010. Miram, the left foot sailing well wide. they do have some threats up top, Columbus, in the starting 11.
Absolutely. We've seen Ola Kamara come in, 5 goals in 519 MLS minutes. That's a pretty good strike rate. He likes to run off the back shoulder a little bit more than Kai Kamara used to, but he's definitely shown he's effective in front of net. And Justin Merrim usually making those back post runs from the wing, now playing a little bit more centrally. I actually thought on that moment he had a chance to spray the ball out to Waylon Francis on the left side for what would have looked like a typical Columbus attack, but opted for the shot instead. But absolutely they have the weapons on this roster and in this team today.
So the drums beating here in Bridgeview, Illinois in the 18th minute. As David Accam has the lone goal in this match. In the 8th minute, Stevens, Goossens ready to attack. Pushes it out wide. Ramos, a little stutter step and just too far in front of Igboananike, but off a wall and out for a Fire corner. So Ciani in front of the keeper, Brad Stuver. Goossens and Accam from the corner. Fire scored off a quick corner against Philadelphia. Here was Razvan Kocic nearest.
It's like maybe a collision of heads there. Razvan holding his head. Defender down for Columbus as well.
And help is summoned.
In the build-up leading to that corner kick, now you can see the corner here. Razvan actually makes a nice run towards the near post, able to get his head on it, and there's the collision of heads.
It's Razvan immediately checking for blood.
In the lead up to that corner kick, Chicago was a little bit slower in the build-up, not as quick in transition, and what we saw was Columbus getting 5 back, the wingers now dropping deep into those wing back spots. There's the other angle of the corner as well, and it looks like they are getting some treatment for Razvan over on the side, so I'm not sure if something opened up there, but you could see him immediately go to his forehead.
Looked to be Chad Barson for Columbus in that collision with Kocic. Well, we see David Accam on the right of your screen getting a little drink here during the break. It was David Accam, though, putting his stamp on this game in the 8th minute.
Again, nothing more you can ask for from your star striker. 20 yards out, cutting it into his right foot, finding that far post. It's just a beautiful goal. 2 defenders, dekes by both of them and picks out that corner. Nothing Stuver can do about that. Just a gorgeous goal in it. And we talked early in this game, it's important to get that first goal, set the tone right away, and then protect that lead for the first 5 minutes after the goal. You know, we saw in Philadelphia getting the early goal and then allowing Philly back into the game. Here, strike early and have defended well since.
And that's something Veljko Paunovic has asked from David Accam, more leadership. Well, what better leadership than to get those early goals, although Paul mentioned it didn't lead to a full 3 points or any points, despite scoring first on that recent road loss to Philadelphia. As Chad Barson, the former Akron Zip, walking off momentarily.
I think what you also like to see from Accam there is the confidence. Right away, he's thinking shot. You know, for a guy who's missed a lot of games this year due to injury, that confidence has to continue to build. And you know, I truly believe Accam is one of the best strikers in MLS, and when he's been on the field, he's scored goals. But you really like to see him there thinking shot outside the 18, not trying to beat too many guys. He's capable of doing it, but instead just a quick touch inside and let it rip from 20 yards out. So the confidence high right now, clearly, for David Accam.
Yeah, he certainly can be a special player, and we mentioned that great goal he scored against Philadelphia, but really, he should have had 2. He missed one in that opening half that would have leveled the game. But he strikes early, and here's David Accam looking for more, darting down that left side. That cross off the back of the heel of Tyson Wall, and it's Columbus once again behind the ball.
Yeah, just as I say that, he opts for the cross there instead of the shot from about the same spot as where the goal happened, too.
I guess you got to keep him guessing if you're David Accam. As it's Parkhurst out of the back for the Crew. There's Chad Barson back on the field for Columbus after that collision in the area with Razvan Kocic. Miram loses to Mikey Stevens. Good shield by Waylon Francis to keep Goossens away, as Francis will keep it on the deck. But it's Kamara turning it over in the midfield. Accam for Egbuonanike. Accam into the area, peeled in there by Egbuonanike, as Accam will catch up to it. Eyes his options. Stevens backs off, and as a result, it's an easy claim there by Columbus on the counter. Game opening up a little bit.
Yeah, great ball from Kennedy Egbuonanike there, trying to find Accam on the far post. Just didn't have enough curl on it. But again, you're finding those spaces. The two strikers sinking wider and wider as Chicago takes over the ball, finding that space, and then finding themselves in really a lot of space on the field with just one defender or two defenders to beat, and I think that's a matchup you like all day if you're Chicago. You want those guys in space, and you certainly want them one-on-one if you can get it. Nice
play there by Egbuonanike to kind of shove down Miram. I don't know if you would have seen that from Egbuonanike last year, but he continues to adjust to Major League Soccer as it's Ramos and Goossens. Egbuonanike is available down the near side. Some space into the area. Kennedy Egbuonanike, a well-placed shot, but it's Stuver who was quickly onto it.
We'll just have to keep saying it all half once again. Egbuonanike finding space on that right wing. And able to get a good look at net, too.
So we pointed out the good so far, Paul. Any concerns from the Fire?
Well, I think, as I said early on, I think one of the concerns is the numbers in central midfield, but we're seeing some adjustments. LaBrocca pinching in to try to help those numbers in front of the box. And right now, I think Columbus is having some trouble getting forward with numbers the way they want to without allowing those quick transition matchups that we've liked for Chicago early on. So I think more and more you're going to have to see Justin Miram maybe pinching out into space to try to find the ball and get on the ball a bit more and try to exploit those areas maybe inside of Kapilov and Rodrigo Ramos, for example. Find that channel instead, because the numbers in central midfield for Chicago have been very good so far, but if LaBrocca keeps pinching in that far, the space is going to open up a little bit outside of his shoulder.
Because of the congested schedule, just playing this past Saturday and traveling in day of for Columbus, you would have to think another quick goal by the Fire here in the opening half might puncture the hope of the road team here in Open Cup play. As Chani pestered there by David Accam. It's recovered by Mikey Stevens. The long ball from Campbell just watched into his keeper by Michael Parkhurst.
Watching that last build-up for Columbus, we're also seeing Chicago is pressing on one side of the field to try to win the ball back. So we might see Columbus look now to get some long switches to try to ease that pressure, take advantage of the opposite wing. Waylon Francis was sitting in a lot of space over on the left side. So I imagine as this game goes on, if Chicago keeps pressing on one side of the field, that we'll see a few more long switches than maybe Columbus is used to in their normal 4-2-3-1 versus passing it across the midfield like they would prefer. That maybe this is a game where you look for those long diagonal balls.
Switching a little bit now down the right side. It's Barson. Big Tony Chani. Justin Miram again in the 27th minute with his team down 1-0 on the David Accam goal. Saravia. as Campbell will just chip it near Iguananike. All Wall could do is knock it out. In terms of injuries, it's been nightmarish this year for Columbus. They've dealt with broken bones, mono, malaria, 5 concussions, you name it. Greg Berhalter has been challenged this year.
Yeah, no Gaston Sorrow tonight, no Higuain, 2 very important players going into the year for Columbus, especially obviously with what Higuain is capable of doing to change a game. Big ask for Greg Berhalter now. Figure out how to replace that number 10 and create the quality chances.
No more Kai Kamara, no relation. Ola Kamara has been providing some goals recently, but some difference makers have moved on and some not available, as Paul mentioned with Higuain. It's Brandon Vincent, first to it out of the back. And not surprisingly, it's been an up and down year for the rookie Brandon Vincent.
Nice little move there, a little Meg. Maybe you don't love to see that inside of your defensive third too often, but when it works, you'll take it.
That's confidence. LaBrocca racing onto it. Wall there to meet him. Ramos spots Kochish. Over for Accam. David Accam make it 2-0 for the Chicago Fire. Oh, the king is cometh early.
Really nice job by LaBrocca to keep the ball in bounds. Finds Rodrigo. He gets his head up and sees Accam on the far post. Gets in behind the back line. Easy finish for David Accam at the far post. They just lost him, totally lost him on that far post.
It looked initially like he was going to spot Razvan Kochish making that run in the area, but right by Kochish to the right guy, David Accam.
And a fantastic ball from Rodrigo Ramos. That's the kind of service you want from the outside backs. Rodrigo Ramos has really grown a ton from early in the year. The confidence has grown, and this is what he brings, the quality. Brazilian going forward, and just a beautiful cross for David Accam to put away.
Section 8, celebrating. David Accam has the brace as a strike in the 29th minute gives the Fire the 2-0 advantage. So a much different beginning than they saw against Indy 11, although it took a while for any goals to come in that confrontation against Indy 11.
Just feels like a more confident performance so far from Chicago than it was in that Indy game. They've come out really pushing the tempo, wanting to take control, and you've seen early on everything's been very positive, very forward thinking, trying to get Accam isolated one-on-one, Iguananike one-on-one. Everyone's pushing forward, and they found the early goals, and it's, I think, been a very bright performance overall from Chicago.
Goossens sees Parkhurst coming onto it. There's LaBrocca. Knocks it loose, John Goossens. Over for Iguananike. Accam enters the area. A few lollipops. Iguananike for Accam, but well protected and away by Columbus. Getting a chest to it was Kochish.
Of course, on the flip side, if you're talking and looking at this from Columbus's perspective, this is always the risk, right, of going away from the formation that you play and train day in, day out. You switch up from that 4-2-3-1, you go to a 3-man back line, and I think there are always going to be some issues that happen in that first game in a new formation, and we're seeing it here. They're just having trouble defending the speed of Chicago and finding ways to close out those spaces on the wings. It's not an area that you see exploited too often the way it has been tonight in transition. Now, because they like to get their fullbacks forward, there is that space on the wing, but usually they've got it covered with the midfield. So a different look from Columbus tonight, and there have been struggles to correspond with it.
Chani will find Tyson Wall. Miram losing to Razvan Kocic. I mean, a team that has just 2 wins to start their season in MLS play. The Chicago Fire, you can see how the confidence ballooning a little bit and the reinforcement getting those goals, the belief a little bit more. Especially after falling down behind a Philadelphia 4-1 on the road recently. The quick ball movement in the midfield. It's Stevens on for Brandon Vincent. Igboananike by his lonesome down the left side. Vincent strolls into the area. Igboananike gets the cross through, but first to it was Brad Stuver off his line. We'll make plans to see the Chicago Fire in their next home match. It's this Friday, July 1st against the San Jose Earthquakes. Kickoff set for 7 p.m. and be sure to stick around after the final whistle to enjoy a post-match fireworks show. To start your holiday weekend with the Chicago Fire and post-match fireworks, just visit chicago-fire.com/tickets today. And the Fire will hit the road for a tough match against a full Toronto side July 9th before returning home for a midweek match against Sporting Kansas City.
Tough stretch of games there for the Fire, but it puts a little bit more importance on this Friday night against San Jose. Want to try to get 3 points before going to Toronto. It's a tough place to play, and especially if Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore are working back into that team, it's certainly a tougher team to break down. We've seen Toronto struggle without Michael Bradley in the middle, but if he's back in there, I think that solves a lot of those defensive woes.
Goossens Fire here. Just a wasted pass out to the left as Goossens crossed up a little bit.
Thought Brandon Vincent was overlapping there on the left side. That's where the space has been all game long, and Goossens is so used to someone being out there and just tried to go with the no look there. No one there.
It's going to be good to have Paul Tenorio on the broadcast as well from Toronto. And if you're wondering why, Frank Klopas has not left us, just being a good son and helping his father and some family health problems in Greece, back home for a little bit to attend to more important matters than the beautiful game. As here's Justin Miram. Francis plays it square, looking for anyone, but it's LaBracca out of trouble.
Well, we definitely miss Frankie, and I'm sure when he wakes up in Greece, he'll watch this game, and so we say hello to him over there. I hope he brings me back some olive oil.
You'll have an email critique tomorrow from the coach.
No doubt.
Don't we all? So we move on into the 36th minute. The early brace from David Accam as the Chicago Fire trying to advance to the quarterfinals in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. They'll face the winner of Orlando and Fort Lauderdale. Martinez will swing it wide. Another corner here for the Crew. You can't say the U.S. Open Cup without saying Lamar Hunt, how important he has been to this game and this league in North America. You don't have to tell the folks from Columbus that.
I'll tell you what, there's just something special about this tournament. I love it. I love the early round matchups, the amateur teams, the lower divisions being involved, and even matchups like this, a rivalry game, we get a little bit of extra.
Jimenez spins it in. Wall was rising up for it. Watch out. Jab loose by David Accam, but a good recovery by Waylon Francis.
Great recovery by Waylon Francis. That's the first time I've ever seen somebody beat Accam in a foot race. Francis had a bit of an angle to help him out there, but still, you don't see that very often.
So Columbus trying to threaten here late in the half. Razvan Kocic, though. A little meg from the rookie. Ramos there on Francis, but it's recovered by Columbus.
And the left back gets a meg early on, and the right back says, anything you can do, I can do better, huh?
Miram. Little hold up on for Chani. Francis. Well off target. Who's got the advantage tonight? Matt Lamson, who knows the shooters, or the shooters who know Matt Lamson?
It's a great question. I love the joke that Frank Lopez had early in the season that if Columbus felt that they could score goals on Lamson because they did it in practice, it's just because Lamson was being a good teammate and letting his forwards build some confidence by scoring in practice. So, no, I think for a goalkeeper, anytime you know the tendencies of players, it's going to help you a bit. Matt Lamson said that earlier in the season. So, and I think you always play a little bit more emotion when you're up against a former team. Want to prove to them that that maybe you could have done a bit more. You should still be on those teams. So obviously this is a game that has a little extra something for Matt Lamson.
But he faced his former team back in March, so hopefully most of those nerves are gone. They haven't had a call on Lamson too often. Here's John Goossens. Made his first appearance in that Philadelphia match since mid-April as David Accam is knocked off the ball. Drawing the call. And a little conversation between Accam and Chani.
Chani a bit frustrated there. Thought he was able to get all ball here. I think the referee calls him for throwing his arm in the play. We'll see here. Nice little back heel from Goossens. And there, yeah, there's the arm, the left arm extended into the face of David Accam. That'll get the whistle every time.
And it's Accam who he doesn't have as long arms as Chani, but David knows how to use those arms too to get some more room. But here on the other end of it.
Here it is from another angle. Accam trying to cut back. There's a bit of a stiff arm. Easy call for the referee right there to make the call.
He stands behind the ball with Goossens. Does David Accam. Curled in. Rising up to it was Kamara. Picking up the pieces is Stevens. It's Ramos. He had that beautiful cross on the Accam goal. This time it's Kocic off his body and wide.
Just a bit unlucky for Kocic there. I think he thought Kapilov was going to get a flick on. He just missed it, and it fell awkwardly, kind of in between, bounces right in front of him, and he's not able to get anything around on it. Just bounces up into his knee. Another good ball from Rodrigo Ramos out on the right wing.
Like most rookies, it's been a ropey performance at times for Ramos, but seen better stuff lately, and it's fun to watch that confidence begin to swell.
You always knew the attacking presence Rodrigo Ramos was going to bring as a typical Brazilian fullback, likes to get forward, but I thought he really started to grow early in the season against NYCFC. A couple times found himself one-on-one with David Villa. That's a matchup NYCFC would have thought they loved, and Rodrigo won all three of those battles, and from then on he's been really playing with a ton of confidence, and that's what you want to see from a young defender.
And Matt Lamson, speaking of Goossens, says he has the hardest shot on the team. It's a bomb and it's accurate. We saw Goossens flash that in the preseason. The long ball from Labraca, detected by Wall, but gives it right back to John Goossens. David Accam, Brandon Vincent joins the attack. It's the cross coming. Fighting after it is Accam. Some shouts for a handball there by Columbus, and they're granted their wish.
I think this is an important game for John Goossens. Talking to him a couple weeks ago, there was a lot of frustration about the injury. Just couldn't seem to get over it. It was nagging him. And, you know, it's very tough for players when they're not able to do anything about it but rest. And we've seen him come out and play with a lot of confidence today. I'm sure he's just been waiting and waiting for this opportunity to be back out influencing the game.
More possession here for the men in red in the last 10 or 15 minutes of this half. It's Brandon Vincent, but tracking back was Chani to take it away from Vincent. A lot of touches on the ball for Waylon Francis down this left side in the opening half for Columbus. The slow trot by Justin Meram. Now a cut to the middle. Switching the conversation down the right side. And Lamson, off the boot of Jimenez, will watch it into his paws.
Again, great defending there by the Fire. You saw Meram trying to cut inside onto his right foot, and Cochise was right there, waiting on the top of the box, ready to pounce, force that ball out wide, and it turns into a cross. That's a easy save, easy collection from Matt Lamson at the far post.
First to it was Barson. Jimenez losing to Stevens. As Accam, as usual, drawing attention. Giving Waylon Francis a lot of room. Kamara. Saravia. Brushed out wide by Chani. As Parkhurst will play it square to Saravia. Chani is brought down, and a free kick up coming for the visitors.
Just a bit unfortunate there for Cochise. He goes down a little bit too early. Chani's able to push that ball, step out of the way, and just a bit too early on the commitment there. I actually thought Chicago had good shape, had slowed down the play. Columbus was very deliberate in their passing, but everything was in front of Chicago. So a bit unfortunate to give up the free kick here, and it turns into a big moment for Matt Lamson. You want to keep this 2-0 scoreline going into the half, and here we are, 2 minutes of injury time starting now, and I think this will be the first big test for Matt Lamson in this game so far.
Yeah, it was Philadelphia scoring a late goal in that opening half that was a killer last Wednesday, trying to prevent a similar scenario here. And it's ballooned over the bar there by Kamara. Well, this would be just what the doctor ordered. If the Fire can have a convincing victory in U.S. Open Cup play, perhaps that will carry over into MLS play this Friday at home against San Jose as Goossens pressing.
Absolutely. I think there were a lot of positives out of the 2 games on the road and the way they played going forward. And obviously defensively it wasn't as strong, and they were beat too often in both games. And so, yeah, this is the exact type of confidence you want to see and would like to be able to carry over into Friday. They've obviously got to close it out now here at the end of this half and then in the final 45 minutes.
Almost a little miscue at the back by Campbell, but it was Kappelhoff who bailed him out. Now swung into the area, knocked wide by Kamara.
Those are the types of mistakes you want to avoid there, right? Don't give Columbus a chance to take over the ball in the final third. Quick transition. And that's the typical Columbus crew that we're used to seeing there, by the way. Winning the ball, getting it wide, across inside, finds Ola Kamara's head. That's how they beat you. And it starts with the mistake in the back. So something Chicago's been able to avoid for much of the first half, and something they'll want to keep clean going into the second half.
This team has learned that this year, the Chicago Fire. You go to sleep for just one moment, and it can be the difference in a game. A la Marco Papa, scoring on his home soil in the 89th minute with a little bit of a deflection. As Barson gets positioning there on Agbuananike. Dying seconds of the opening half. And what a first 45 for the Chicago Fire. It was a David Accam brace, and they lead the Columbus Crew 2-0 after 45 minutes. Besides the performance from David Accam, Paul, what did you like about that opening half?
I think there was a lot to like about it. I think, again, the central midfield defensive work I thought was important to watch after the way things went, especially in Philadelphia. A really good performance, I thought, from the center midfielders. And then just the thought of play from Chicago. Very quick to get their head up, look for that ball in transition, try to find Agbuananike and Accam in space. They were able to do that effectively. And John Goossens, coming back from injury, really trying to take hold of that role underneath the two strikers, and he sets up the first goal, of course, as well. So I thought from top to bottom for Chicago, a lot to be happy about and try to build on. And I'm sure Veljko Paunovic, the message in the locker room will be something to the effect of, hey, let's carry this forward. Let's keep that mentality. Let's not sit back on our heels and try to keep pushing this game. Yeah, halfway home. Paul and I will take a little break, be back with you in about 5 or so minutes, and recap that opening half and look ahead to the second here from Toyota Park.
just got on a 10-hour flight from Holland, which is where he played club soccer most recently. So he is to me you're going to hear for the next weeks, months, and years to come. With that, Michael DeLue, back there.
I only want to say I'm glad that I've been in Chicago, and I can't wait to score goals, to play for the Fire, and to play for you.
know, our pursuit of Michael was a lengthy one, and in the end, we were fortunate to capture Michael ahead of some other clubs from around the world. We're excited by what Michael will add to our club. And what excites us the most is we think we've added another important piece to the championship program that we're trying to build.
Well, obviously, we are all very happy and excited to have Michael with us. We believe he can help us on our offensive side to improve, especially our numbers and our performance. We also believe that Michael is very experienced, and his soccer lifestyle will help and positively influence our locker room, especially young players.
I'm like a 9.5 player. I like the box. That's more my the area where I like to play, and so I hope that we play a lot of attack. And no, again, I'm very happy to be here.
Now it's Morales. He steps up and lets it awkwardly. There's the chair on the rebound. Laps it again, and the ball goes over the byline. Juan Agudelo driving at the goal. Forces a good save from Lamson. Win. Nice little combination. Kai takes it down, drives it on frame. Beaten away by Lamson. Best chance of the game so far. Beautiful. Long shot. Sean Johnson parries it aside.
Today we get to share with the great community of Little Village our team, our personality, and our appreciation for all of their support for our team. Along the way, maybe we can inspire a couple of families or children to look to become a professional soccer player or just look to have a healthier lifestyle.
So this is Practice in the Community for 2016 here in the Little Village community on the west side of Chicago. This is the Garrity's campus, and we've got all of our family members out here, kids who play, big Fire fans, and we do it all in partnership with the Fire. And so it's great to have the team out here, the organization out here in capacity, all the sponsor supporters, and just a great time of bonding in the community around soccer. For our kids to say that, hey, I played on the field that the Fire played on, you know, it's inspiring for them.
It's always nice to get involved and be involved, especially with kids. You can make a big impact on the younger kids, and it's you can see when you meet them that they're excited to meet you, and it means a lot to them.
For sure. Thank you guys. Sure.
He's watching it alone.
If you see any lock, tell them that the broadcaster We are back live apparently, Paul, and it's time to talk the beautiful game in the Chicago Fire and the Columbus Crew SC as they try to get to the round of, well, they're in the round of 16. They try to get to the quarterfinals, and we were hoping for a bright start because it really took a long time for the Fire to get into their groove against Indy 11 falling behind, but the David Accam show got underway early, 7 minutes in.
Yeah, I think Columbus came out, in this new 3-4-2-1 formation, and there was a lot of space on the wings for David Accam and Kennedy Iguananike to operate, and we saw them take advantage of it right away. Just from the kickoff, they started to find the space. Columbus with the early look, Justin Merrim up the middle. That had been a concern in the last couple games, but Chicago closed that space up.
And that was really the only threat from Columbus that Lamson had to deal with. Everything else was away from goal.
Here's the first goal. Accam on the right wing. Just a gorgeous goal. No matter how many times you look at it. Gets the ball on the left side. Right away knows he's going to look at goal. Quick touch into his right foot. Beats two defenders with that one cut and buries it to the far post.
And an emotional first 45 minutes by David Accam. And that's the first goal scored outside of the penalty area this year from the Fire.
And right away, if you're Chicago and you're Veljko Paunovic, you're starting to think, hey, this is just what we expected. The space is there on the wings. Maybe a different formation than we expected, but they wanted to counter and transition into those wings, into the area vacated by the fullbacks that like to get forward. Instead, they have a three-man back line. Concept still applies. David Accam finding the ball in space, and it became something that happened over and over again. And you see again, look at him floating wide. That time, John Goossens opts for the shot, but the space was there again. And here, Accam picks up the ball from Iguananike on the pressure of the center backs. You can see he just wants to curl it over the top of the goalkeeper, but just a bit too much on it.
Swarmed by Crew SC players there, 4 players around him.
And look, Chicago with some fouls early on, but don't mind that physical play, sending a bit of a message. The fortunate bounce off of Ola Kamara, easy for Matt Lamson to collect there.
Here's Goossens again. This time his favorite target. He doesn't spot Accam, but onto Iguananike.
Yeah, again, because that space is there, he had two options. He had the inside run from Accam and the outside run from Igbo. Only one defender there. It's pick and choose. He goes for the outside option there.
And here's Razvan Kocic. They're clashing with Barson in the penalty area.
A nice near post run. Gets his head on it. Just not able to get all the way around, partly probably because of that clash of heads.
And both players would return quickly. And this is some great stuff from Ramos.
Absolutely, a great ball from the young defender. Gets his head up, beats his guy, back onto the right foot, curls it far post for Accam to put away easily. And look at Accam just kind of waiting, let the defender lose sight of me, and then I'll go. And there he is for the easy finish.
He's a MLS rookie, not a professional rookie, Rodrigo Ramos, and right now he's feeling the confidence. And you think we might see a few alterations on the pitch here from Crew SC, right?
Yeah, I was thinking right away. I think if you're Greg Berhalter, you probably want to go back to the 4-man back line. I wouldn't be surprised to see Waylon Francis drop into the left back role. Go back to the traditional 4-2-3-1 you run often. Maybe even a 4-3-2-1 if you want a little bit more defensive balance. But at the same time, you've got to remember Columbus is looking for a goal. So you might not have the luxury now of dropping back to a 4-man back line because you need to press, you need to find some goals to get back into this game.
And from the Fire's perspective, having that 2-goal cushion at home, what's their mentality need to be right now?
Well, I think most importantly, you have to maintain the shape in the midfield if you're Chicago Fire. You cannot allow the runners in the middle of the field, especially Justin Merrim, to find space in front of your back line. So I think you'll see Razvan Kocic, Labraka, Mikey Stevens staying a little bit deeper, keeping that shape in front of the back line and closing down those spaces early.
See Will Trapp now roaming the midfield for Crew SC. Martinez off for Greg Berhalter's side to begin this second half.
And you bring Will Trapp in, what does it do? Right away it inserts some leadership onto the field. And obviously his ability to keep possession, hold the ball, and pick out those runs from a deep lying position. So Columbus trying to find its hold in the game a bit more, puts one of its very best on the field to do so.
Mikey Stevens continues to do a lot of the little things in the midfield for the Fire. Barson lets it get by him. That could be troublesome. Here comes Accam. But it's recovered there by Parkhurst as a initial heavy first touch by Accam and allowed Parkhurst to reclaim.
And already right away you see what Will Trapp brings to the field. All the ground that he covers, dropping deep to help win the ball back, then keeps possession deep in the midfield and pushes the ball forward for Columbus. Fantastic young player, and one we might see start to get more and more involved in the U.S. national team picture over the next 2 years as the pool continues to evolve and grow.
Saravia will float it out wide. As Miram is nullified. As Parkhurst spots Jimenez. Just getting a feel for the ball off the bench is Will Trapp. Good spell of possession here by Crew SC as they spin it right through the area. Visions there of Justin Miram.
Looks like Ethan Finley also in the game here for Columbus. So you're bringing in two of the top players on this team to try to change things around, get back into the game. Ethan Finley's movement off the ball, what makes him so special. We saw that run just there, kind of trying to find the channel in between a center back and the fullback, gets on the ball right away. They're going to have to be aware of where Ethan Finley is at all times in this game. And again, Will Trapp already very active in the central midfield for Columbus.
Yeah, Finley has come on for Kamara. Finley wearing number 13 for Columbus Crew SC. Backing off a little bit is Ramos. Cover there by LaBraca. Quick decision by Saravia allows Columbus to keep possession, but only momentarily. It's Goossens. Delicately ahead to David Accam. Igboananike down the left side. Kennedy Igboananike. Clever little turn. The cross coming. And almost an own goal off of Tyson Wall. David Accam was nearest as well.
A lot of changes in this Columbus Crew lineup. Two big changes at least at half, but there's no change in what the Fire are looking to attack. That space is still there on the wings. Once again, Igboananike able to get the ball in the left channel, does some work one-on-one with the defender there, and nearly finds David Accam for the hat trick. Tyson Wall there to clean it up, almost puts in his own net, but he had to do something there because Accam was crashing that far post, and David really thought he should have had it.
What a job by Igboananike to get a step on Parkhurst to knife that cross through. The intervention from Nick LaBraca going down to ground. So David Accam searching for his first ever hat trick in Major League Soccer. Pushed out wide by Francis, but just bungled by the Crew, and it will be a throw for Ramos.
A lot of the work in midfield right now is being asked of LaBraca and Stevens. They're playing almost a 4-3-1-2, the Fire. And so I think if Columbus can continue to push forward its fullbacks and find them on the outsides, you're forcing those midfielders to run out and cover defensively and then also be responsible for that space tucked in inside. So a tough ask for those two players, both of them used to covering a lot of ground in those midfield positions though.
LaBraca whistled on the foul there on Ethan Finley, despite his protest.
Another dangerous spot here. We see Justin Merrim lining up over the ball. Will trap as well.
Is Merrim with the attempt wide.
Looked like he got caught in between what the decision was. Am I going to cross it? Am I going to shoot it? Most of the crew players kind of crashed to the near post. Merrim looked far post. No one there.
Well, a reminder, summer camp season is underway. Find the Chicago Fire Soccer in the Community Summer Camp in your area and register today at chicago-fire.com/youth. Programming is available for children's age 2 to 16 and all ability levels are welcome.
I could use some time in that camp to sharpen up my touch. I was a bit rusty in my men's league game last week.
We all could. As David Accam hasn't shown too much rust tonight, the Ghanaian, the ambitious try. Closed down, but it falls kindly there to Ramos. But Ramos stripped of possession, and then Brandon Vincent with the foul there on Merrim.
There's an example. Maybe you want a little bit more recognition of the moment in the game for Rodrigo Ramos. You know, he decided to try to go on forward there, take on his defender instead of cutting back, playing the easy ball back, cycling it across the back line. You got a 2-goal lead. Be safe there. Forces a foul in transition and a yellow card.
Slabraka receives the cautionary yellow here in the 53rd minute. Stevens, he had it but then loses it. Switching out wide is Jimenez. Across the face of goal. A little late to it was Ethan Finley arriving in the area. Well, we mentioned make plans to see the Chicago Fire next home match this Friday, July 1st against San Jose. Kickoff 7 p.m. and stick around after the final whistle to enjoy post-match fireworks. To start your holiday weekend with the men in red and post-match fireworks, just visit chicago-fire.com/tickets today. This is the round of 16 of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. David Accam's brace has the Fire out in front 2-0. Labraka. Brandon Vincent rumbling down the near side. Goossens thought about it. Now creeps a little closer as Goossens shot off of Jimenez. Another corner opportunity for the Fire.
Well done there by Brandon Vincent. Overlap on the left side. Another short corner here from the Fire. A good ball in from Accam. I saw three short corners on 3 corners for the Fire tonight. So definitely something they've seen and wanted to attack with David Accam.
Anticipated by Waylon Francis. It's Michael Parkhurst right up the middle to Merrim. Trying to get the shot through as Finley denied.
Nice job by Columbus finding the space in between the midfield and the back line there.
Seen some more promising signs from Brandon Vincent this evening. As the crew here keep it on the deck. Trying to escape is Finley. Merrim tries to make the turn. Justin Merrim. And the rebound. Offside flag comes up. And this will stay a 2-0 game. And Justin Merrim right there to talk things over with Nima Saghafi.
I think, if anything, right now what we've seen in the second half different than the first. Justin Merrim doing a much better job of finding those spaces behind the central midfielders in front of the defenders He's able again to pick out that space, turns, gets a shot on goal, and is it a handball? No, into the body of Jonathan Campbell. Nothing he can do there. Both hands to the side. And offsides is the call. But a really nice job from Justin Merrim to find that space, and I think Chicago's going to have to find a way to clean that up a bit. Either Nick LeBrock or Mikey Stevens playing a bit deeper.
It's now a little more life from the visitors. Will Trapp pushes it into the middle. Justin Merrim. There's Waylon Francis, a few step-overs. More possession here from Columbus. We'll see if they can do anything with it. Finley combines with Jimenez. Jimenez goes for a little stroll in the middle. There to close him down was Mikey Stevens. Trying to quickly counter. Buonanike, now David Accam waiting for support. Hurriedly on, it's Mikey Stevens. Advantage played for the Chicago Fire. The 20-year-old Ramos running on to it. Twisting and turning there. Trying to put Francis in a tough spot. We'll stay with the Fire here in the 58th minute. So far, it's a scoreless second half from Toyota Park here just south of Chicago in Bridgeview, Illinois.
Like the referee trying to calm some tempers here. And Eric Gehrig appears set to enter. Maybe try to get a little bit more of a defensive shape, solve that issue in the middle of the field maybe by bringing Gehrig in, a defender capable of playing in the midfield.
Gehrig saw his first start in MLS in the last match against Philadelphia. That was his first start since last September. A guy who looks a little bit like Eric Gehrig, at least the same hairstyle. John Goosen's Reddies.
Maybe they go to the same barber.
It's Wall rising up for it. Helped out by Will Trapp. Will be a corner.
The reason why we're probably seeing a lot of these short corners, you look at the field right now, not a lot of height in the box for the Chicago Fire, outside of maybe Jonathan Campbell. Columbus is a team very good in the air, among the leaders in MLS in crosses per game. It's an area they excel. So here you pull two defenders out of the box, give yourself a little bit more space to operate.
Some contact in the area going forward, and that's been a familiar refrain for the men in red. This is just a team that hasn't had a lot of size that they can feast on off of corners. Spent 4 seasons with the Columbus Crew. Eric Gehrig will replace John Goosens.
Definitely a more defensive-minded substitution here. Good run out for Goosens, who's missed a lot of time with an injury. Gets about 60 minutes, and Eric Gehrig enters the game. Looks like he's going to move into right back. Rodrigo Ramos will push into the midfield.
It's something the Fire have perhaps been lacking this year and the last couple of years, is that strong leadership voice. And maybe if Eric Gehrig could find his way on the field a little bit more, he could become one of those leaders. He seems to have that personality.
Absolutely. Just one of those strong-willed guys. Always looks like a jaw a bit clenched, ready to go to battle.
It's Will Trapp. Floats it by Jimenez. Will be a corner though here for the Crew in the 61st minute.
So we saw defensively it looked a bit more 4-3-2-1 for the Fire to start off the half. With this change, it'll go 4-4-2 probably.
Popped around. Biked away by Ramos. Wall gets a foot to it. And another corner for the Crew SC. Martinez the delivery. And it's snared there by Lamson.
Nicely collected by Lamson, looking to spring that counterattack through David Accam. Finds Mikey Stevens instead.
How have you liked Jonathan Campbell tonight?
You know, I thought he's had a strong performance. He clearly hasn't let it mentally affect him. The bad bounces the last couple games. He's the composed defender we've come to know early this season. That's what you want to see out of the rookie.
Ramos there hassling Waylon Francis. So just past the hour mark, David Accam's first half brace standing up so far for the Chicago Fire. Will Trapp coolly navigates in the midfield. Confidently down to ground as Ramos picking it clean.
And that's the one-on-one defending we were talking about early in the season, maybe not there as much. Had that confidence performance against NYCFC, and now I think one-on-one defending is looking to be one of the strengths of Rodrigo Ramos right now with Chicago Fire. He's made a couple nice tackles outside today.
Confidence is such a powerful thing. It's Greg Berhalter. Little discussion with the man in the middle, Nima Sagafi.
Yeah, Greg Berhalter maybe a little bit too close to coming out on the pitch there.
Watch out, David Accam over to Bonanike. Bonanike into the area. Couldn't get the shot through as Barson stayed with them, but it will be a corner.
Nice tackle. Always a risk to go to ground inside your own box, but he read that perfectly. Prevented Igbo from getting a shot off on goal. It's a high five from his goalkeeper for that effort.
He timed it perfectly, making the trot a familiar one to the corner is David Accam. LaBrocca the short option. Out to punch it away is Stuver. Falls conveniently for Eric Gehrig. He and Ramos combine to help keep possession. Will be a throw for Waylon Francis. As Columbus down by 2, Crew SC looking to make another substitution.
It's really amazing to see the difference in the way this midfield plays with Will Trapp on the field. He's so confident. He always is looking for the ball. He becomes the pivot for the midfield and just seems to give them that presence that allows them to keep the ball and have positive possession going forward. He's been a big impact in this second half, I think, and one of the reasons why Crew SC has looked much more dangerous.
Everyone kind of takes a sigh of relief when number 20 gets it and says, hey, everything's going to be okay now. He slows the game down. Pushed into the middle by Jimenez. And a dangerous free kick opportunity upcoming as Miram makes sure he gets noticed.
Once again, Miram sneaking into that pocket right in front of the back line. This time it's Rodrigo Ramos that's tried to be pinched in to close it down, but he's on the wrong side of him. Miram's able to turn towards goal, and Ramos catches a bit of his leg. And another dangerous free kick for Columbus. And it's smart here from Crew SC. They actually pulled the ball back away from the arc where the foul happened. Gives you a bit more space to get a free kick over the wall and on frame. Opposite of what Jurgen Klinsmann complained about with Leo Messi before that gorgeous free kick in the Copa semifinals where he moved the ball forward 5 yards. In this case, you pull it back 3 or 4 yards and get a better look at goal.
A better view at Matt Lamson. It's Miram skimming the bar.
Last kick of the game for Miram. It's like Emil Larson coming onto the field for Columbus.
Entering the match number 7, Emil Larson. Leaving the match number 9, Justin Miram.
Good shift by Miram.
Larson will play that same role. He'll be on the left wing, able to pinch in centrally to cause problems.
If you're Veljko Paunovic, are you satisfied the way your team has played so far in this second half, protecting the 2-0 advantage?
I think so. I think you ask them to continue to keep that shape, keep the ball in front of you, allow Columbus to have possession if they want. You sit deep and make sure you don't give up anything behind you. And maybe they've been able to create a few more opportunities, Crew SC, but nothing overly dangerous. And that's what you want if you're Chicago. So just keep this game in front of you. And make sure you try to dictate the pace when you have the ball. You see here, slow things down, no rush, and try to pull them out a little bit to get those forwards isolated.
Brought down nicely by Agbuananike. Kochish loses it, but there to back him up is Stevens. Is Agbuananike trying to draw the foul, and he does so. Well, do you know a Chicago Fire supporter sign him or her up for a Chicago Fire Junior Supporters Club premium membership today for just $30 and receive a great Chicago Fire merchandise kit as part of your membership. For more information, visit chicago-fire.com/JSC today. What a gorgeous night for the beautiful game here in the Chicagoland area. It was in the 90s about 24 hours ago, and now it feels like a cool October night. And off comes David Accam.
And gets a standing ovation from the fans, as he should. Fantastic performance from David Accam tonight. Brilliant goal to start things off. Nice little finish for the brace early in the first half to provide the 2-goal lead. And again, once again, you bring in a player, John Mara, looks like coming in the midfield just to provide a little bit more defensive balance here, try to secure this win. And I think it's a good move. We saw just a second ago, Brandon Vincent had the ball on the left side, no options in central midfield. A lot of running right now, and so it gives those other central midfielders a little bit of help now, a little less ground to cover.
So we'll see how much fight Columbus Crew SC has here in the final 20-plus minutes.
And right away, the extra body in midfield helps.
Offside flag coming up.
This is going to look more like a 4-1-4-1 for Chicago, but it'll play a lot deeper than what a traditional 4-1-4-1 does. I think you'll see just about all 5 midfielders in a low block in front of the back line.
Larson, the newest body on the pitch for Columbus, wears number 7. There's Brandon Vincent surging forward. It's Will Trapp. Picks his head up. Saravia. As Barson will brush it right back into the middle for Columbus Crew SC. Quick decision by Trapp. Cross coming. Watched away. Caught up to by Jimenez.
Dangerous cross there from Columbus to let that ball bounce in the box. Don't want to see that too often if you're Chicago. Took a bit of a deflection. It's kind of in between for Matt Lamson. Had to let it go through. No one was there for Columbus to put it away.
It was Campbell who kind of watched it breeze by. Trying to take the initiative there is Kocic, but it's Columbus with some possession here in the 72nd minute. But it's recovered by Razvan Kocic. We'll stay with the crew here for a throw. Jimenez keeps it on the grass. Ricochets around, and the composure there from Brandon Vincent. Gives to Myra, who's in a tough spot, but now with some conviction out of the back off the boot of Campbell.
See already tactically a good understanding from Columbus. With 9 men back like this for Chicago, it's going to be hard to find space in the middle of the field to work and create. Get the ball out to the wings, try to get crosses into the box and create some dangerous opportunities.
A little bit of a gamble by Brandon Vincent pays off. Lays it ahead nicely for LaBracca. As Parkhurst safely to it first before Igboananike.
A lot of work, a lot of running going to be asked of Kennedy Igboananike here. Wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Joey Calistri come in late to try to do some of that running. But as the only player up front to relieve pressure, got to try to find Igbo's feet. Don't beat him into space too much because he's going to be running a ton already defensively to apply a little bit of pressure on the defenders.
He's played a ton of minutes, Igboananike and Accam, including the full 120 versus Indy 11 to get to this round of 16 in Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup play. But they get a little bit of a break for David Accam late with their next matchup coming for the Fire this Friday at home against San Jose. Will Trapp moves the conversation down the left side now into the area. Sprouting up was Campbell.
That's exactly what you want if you're Columbus. Get the ball wide, play those balls into the box, make Chicago have to deal with it. Nicely done by Campbell to take care of that one, though.
Ramos, he's been a rambunctious one tonight, number 13. Delivered that beautiful cross on the second goal from David Accam back in the opening half. Larson testing Kappelhoff, and there the long rangy legs of Kappelhoff helps win it back. Is this possession from Columbus concerning you a little bit, Paul?
Again, I think, clearly Chicago's taking the mindset here of conceding the possession, sitting in deep, just trying to limit the opportunities. Columbus can have the ball all they want to a certain point on the field, and then you press. Don't leave anything in and behind you.
This will relieve a little pressure. The cross coming from Ramos. Visions there of Igboananike. Surging forward there is Gehrig. They filter it through to the middle. There is Finley.
And again, you can see Chicago dropping deeper and deeper. Don't press until you have to, and now's when you start to pressure the ball.
Communication there between Stevens and Ramos. As it's Stevens and Ramos in the midfield. Given away cheaply, though, and it's recovered by Columbus.
That right there is what you don't want to do. Win the ball in your third. If you're going to lose it forward to Igbo. Don't lose it in the middle of the field right there where Columbus can turn and attack you right away again.
The attack coming. Kappelhoff was ready. Will Trapp helps keep Crew SC behind the ball. Jimenez there on LaBrocca. Into the 76th minute. Crew SC down 2-0.
Really compact right now on that side of the field. I imagine Will Trapp's going to look to switch this, get out of pressure, restart things on the other side of the field here.
Wall is on it. Here's Will Trapp.
There's the switch from Trapp.
And the switch is over for Jimenez. The intervention there from Nick LaBrocca. Quickly forward. Searching ball there for Igboananike as the offside flag comes up.
Great ball, great idea. That's what you want to see right there. Igbo just needs to do that little bit of extra work to get back on side there, but he's been doing a lot of running.
It's nice to see a somewhat happy manager, Veljko Paunovic, but he knows his side still has a lot of work to do. Saravia, anticipated by Brandon Vincent, but Trapp and Columbus Crew SC will keep possession. Settled down by Trapp. Jimenez, the cross coming. And it's João Myra who's able to lash it out of the area. Finley shirking loose for a moment.
Penalty kick call looks like that is a harsh call. I mean, a really tough shot from Ethan Finley. We'll have to take a look at the replay to see if it caught someone's arm and their arm was extended from their body, but from a close range like that as a defender, I'm not sure there's much you can do.
So a late lifeline here for Columbus.
You can see Kapilov has his arms out a little bit as he tries to turn his body, protect himself from the shot.
And it's Finley to bring Columbus to within one.
Makes it a much more nervous final 11 or 12 minutes here at Toyota Park. As they say, 2-0 lead, the most dangerous in soccer. Now it's 2-1 all of a sudden, and momentum's on the other side of the field. So we'll see what Chicago does here. Now I think you want to have a bit more of the ball if you're Chicago, a little bit less of that dropping back, but it's going to be tough. Here's that substitution. Looks like it will be Kalistri for Igbo. A lot of running, as we said earlier, for him up top. No surprise to see Kalistri come in. I would also note on that goal, setting up that penalty kick, really nice run. We've seen Emil Larsson do it earlier in the half, and here Ethan Finley did a nice job anticipating the switch. Chicago's defender started to swing towards the outside, allowing Finley to make that little darting run diagonally inside, and Trapp finds him to give him that space to get off the shot, which leads to the PK. So really nice run from Finley, great vision from Will. And now you have a 2-1 game, and everyone's a little bit more nervous here in Bridgeview.
It's never easy, especially in tournament play.
Columbus Crew SC goal scored in the 79th minute of play by number 13, Ethan Finley.
There's Joey Kalistri, picked up his first ever MLS goal 2 games ago on the road against Colorado. It looked like it was going to be the equalizer until Marco Papa stuck the dagger in. As Kalistri actually suffered that injury, that minor knock before that goal was scored. He played through it, was in a boot the next day. Just ended up missing the Philadelphia game. Back in action now as the homegrown kid.
They make them tough at Northwestern. What can I say?
Says the alum. So right now it's Columbus making things tough for the home side. Striking from the spot is Finley. It's a one-goal game here now in the 81st minute. Sauntering onto it is Wall. Will Trapp has been influential in this game and that last goal. Finley will turn it over. Jimenez out there to soften it down and claim it was Matt Lamson.
You know, as Will Trapp starts to go and push forward a little bit more, somebody in Chicago is going to have to start to pick him up a little bit higher up the field. He's far too influential. His vision is too good. He's picking out the right pass every time. It's changed this game since he's come on. Obviously, the 2 halftime substitutions combined to set up that first goal on the penalty, or at least set up the shot that led to the penalty. So I think the big change here, if you're one of those midfielders, you've got to start to find Trapp early on, push him a bit higher. Don't allow him to pick out the pass.
Kappelhoff cautiously back to Lamson. Still lots of time for the visitors to find that equalizer.
Bit frustrating there for Will Trapp. Makes the nice run to get the ball in the middle of the field. Stuver opts for the long ball out of bounds. Trapp looks back as if to say, hey, just put it on my foot here.
Calistri and Ramos operating down the right side. Popping up there was Eric Gehrig. Here's Waylon Francis. Forced back to his keeper. Trapp out of the back with Michael Parkhurst.
You can already see the line in which Chicago's pressing got higher. Before they were allowing Columbus up until about 35 yards away from their goal. Now it's around midfield and even higher now. We see Rodrigo Ramos pressing here inside of Crew SC's half.
Yeah, it's amazing how a goal changes the line of confrontation.
But you like that mentality if you're Chicago. The fact that they have been able to take a little bit more control in the sense of where and how they're going to press, that they're not back on their heels still inside of their own defensive third. They're trying to now push the game a bit more, not allowing Columbus to get into the attacking half with no pressure.
A Chicago Fire trying to improve to a perfect 6-0 in U.S. Open Cup play against Columbus. As Martinez disagrees with the decision. The winner of this match will advance to the quarterfinals and play the winner of tomorrow night's contest in the round of 16 between Orlando and Fort Lauderdale. The Fire have had some past success in U.S. Open Cup play against Orlando, both before and after their entry into MLS. Is Stevens. Ramos over the top of Calistri, softened down by Parkhurst. Marching on into the 85th minute. Columbus trying to create some problems down the left side. Cross coming. And there were some problems coming to the goal quickly.
Wow, what a quick transition attack from Columbus there. Absolutely fantastic. The long switch, I believe it was Waylon Francis on the left side that gets on the end of it. 2 runners crashing the box, and the pass is just beyond them. A bit fortunate for Chicago, but really nice transition play from Columbus there.
Martinez seemed to be nearest for Crew SC. And for Chicago Fire supporters, that clock moving ever so slowly. There's Tyson Wall. Will Trapp switching things to Chad Barson. This is Trapp. Cross off the head of Eric Gehrig, so will be another corner for Columbus. Now joining things, Brad Stuver.
Yeah.
Throwing everything at the goal now here. Columbus on the road, down by 1 in the 87th. Stuver was rising up. Right back to Jimenez. Popping around. And digging that cross out was Martinez by everybody.
I'll tell you what, when you watch this game, when you watch soccer, there's something about really good players that's consistent, and it's their ability to find space and then find the ball. And covering Orlando City the last couple of years, I saw it in Kaká. Obviously, he's at the highest level that this game has. He's done it at the very highest level. But Will Trapp, it's the same idea. He finds the space and he finds the ball. It's really fun to watch how he moves into the space. 2, 3, 4 passes before the ball gets there, but that's where it eventually ends up. Really, really good young player.
Anticipating plays before they develop. We move on into the 88th minute. LaBrocca. He's had an underrated night so far, number 21. Now just trying to waste some time. Kochish plays it to the corner with Joey Calistri. Is Ramos unable to catch up to it. See the urgency from both sides here late.
Okay, Johan Kopelov making a run inside of the opposing half to try to challenge for a ball. And it forces Columbus to reset.
It saves a lot of energy from the guys on his team. Trapp, though. Recaptures for Columbus. Spirited into the middle for Michael Parkhurst. Jalmira stays with it. Falls down for Jimenez again. As Stevens gets a boot to it. Little casual in the back. Waylon Francis trying to feast on that. Tyson Wall. Larson shot. Looking to pick up the pieces there was Ethan Finley. As the bike doesn't get through the congestion, but Columbus still creating danger.
If I'm Chicago, I'm not too happy with the referee not to call a dangerous play there. Absolutely influenced what the defender was doing to try to clear that ball, that bicycle kick.
Finley. Knocked away. It's Joey Calistri racing the other way. Finds the outlet valve there in LaBrocca. And Ramos is sent flying. And a booking here.
That's what you want to see from Rodrigo Ramos, and really nice recognition, you know, for a right back. Steps into the right midfield role. He's pinched in as you're supposed to there, and he's the one able to get onto that outlet pass or try to get on and create the foul there.
The hip coming in there from Tyson Wall on Rodrigo Ramos. Chicago Fire supporters and the Harlem End ready to celebrate. Still some work to be done. It's Calistri to the corner. Well done, young man.
Nicely done by the Northwestern man, I'll say again. One more prop for my alma mater. That's it for tonight, though. Frankie Klopas is that's gonna be his first line in the email tomorrow to me.
As long as they can see this result through. So a little more work to be done, about a minute in stoppage time. Calistri, the sneak attack there from behind on Saravia.
Good pressure from Calistri. That's what you want from your last substitution there. No reason for him not to be running at this point.
Long ball off the boot of Barson. Looked to be handled there by Will Trapp.
The linesman picked up that handball.
A long way away.
Wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of intent there. Will Trapp, knowing the referee's behind him, probably doesn't have a good look. Puts the ball down on his foot. If not, fortunate touch, but the linesman was able to pick it up.
Oh, the sweet sound of a whistle. Good night, Columbus Crew SC. Veljko Paunovic and his men in red are moving on to the quarterfinals in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
What a huge win for the Chicago Fire. Coming off of 2 tough losses on the road, to come into this game against a good MLS opponent and pick up a win. And there's a lot that you take out of this if you're the Fire. You look at the confidence of David Accam and his finishing. You always like to see your striker getting goals. John Goossens coming back onto the field after being out injured, puts in a really good shift for 60 minutes. Rodrigo Ramos, a really encouraging performance from the right back. A lot of positives to come out of it. And again, one of the biggest issues in that Philadelphia game was the play of the central midfield defensively. I thought they did a much better job, even in that second half, against what Columbus was doing with Will Trapp. A nice job of covering that space in front of the back line. So a lot of positives if you're the Chicago Fire. And even giving up that late goal, it forces this team to close out a game. And you want that type of character out of your team. So I'm sure it's just going to be nothing but positives for Veljko Paunovic in the locker room and talking to the media after the game.
Yeah, Razvan Kocic and Mikey Stevens, a good job in the midfield. Everybody's congratulating the man nicknamed the King, David Accam, as he got this party started in the opening half.
Curling finish to the far post. He probably knew that was going in as soon as it left his foot. It's just one of those types of goals. And you can see what Accam's speed does. He drives at the defender. Defender has to back off to respect that speed if Accam decides to burst. Watch, drive, and that gives him the chance, boop, to cut it back inside and put it to the far post.
He gets so much credit for his pace, but he's got a little finish as well as he flashed there.
Absolutely, and here, Rodrigo Ramos does a nice job creating space for himself, and then that's the perfect ball to the far post. Finds David Accam, and he's not going to miss from there. Not unmarked.
And look at that first step from Ramos to lose defenders. And the precise cross, and then the finish is even better from Accam.
Just having a bit of fun out there at that point. And again, I really like the delayed run from Accam. Just let everyone fall asleep a bit. Wait to the last second to make that run, and then you have that space at the back post.
But things got a little interesting. A handball in the area. Ethan Finley, the spot kick. Columbus all of a sudden to within 1 late.
Yeah, things got a lot more nervous. And again, I really credit Ethan Finley for the run that set up the shot for the penalty kick. Really smart interior diagonal run. Will Trapp makes no mistake on the pass. Had allowed the Chicago defenders to pinch out before he made it. That gave Finley the space for the shot and eventually the penalty kick. But Chicago, you know, they came out of that shell after the goal. They pushed higher up the field. They tried to take the game back as much as they could, and they closed it out.
I think, Paul, the final message from this victory for the Fire over Columbus is, yes, you move on in Open Cup play to the quarterfinals, but also take some of this momentum and the positive spirit tonight and the result and bring it to MLS play this Friday against San Jose.
Absolutely. It's one of those days, one of those moments where you're not too disappointed that you only have 3 days till the next game. Let's get right back on the field. Let's carry this momentum forward. You know, have a couple good positive days of practice Wednesday, Thursday, and and try to get another result at home. And hey, another big thing for them, coming back home for the quarterfinals, whether it's Fort Lauderdale or Orlando, you're playing it at home again. You can continue this run, hopefully, for the Fire in the U.S. Open Cup.
Paul Tenorio, you continue to make the smooth transition from newspaper reporter to television analyst. Great job tonight. Look forward to having you in the booth in MLS play on the road July 9th from Toronto. As tonight, it's the Chicago Fire. They improved to a perfect 6-0 against the Columbus Crew in U.S. Open Cup play. King David, the brace, and it's the final. The men in red move on. They're victorious over Columbus 2-1 from Toyota Park.